and welcome to Critical Thinking Philosophy 11 for the Winter 16 intersession. I am your instructor, Professor Vitt. You're taking this course through Long Beach City College. Before I launch into the substantive stuff, just want to give you two very important points. Number one, I absolutely love this course and I absolutely love teaching it online. It's a ton of fun. It's very, very interesting. It's actually a blast. If I could do anything in the world, it would be teach this course, and I'm lucky enough to be able to do that. So that much being said, I want to give you a quick heads up at the beginning. This course lasts roughly 5 weeks. Now, that takes a normal almost 16-week semester and condenses it down to a remarkably small amount of time. That's 3 weeks every week. So this class is a ton of work. And it proceeds on a week-by-week basis. So once 1 week is done, that module closes forever, and you move on to the next one. There are no makeups, and so the dates are really stern in this class. I have to set it up that way because if I'm loosey on it, if I'm kind of loosey-goosey with my dates, then you guys don't do as well. People tend to put things off naturally. I don't blame anyone for that. But then people don't do as well. They try to do all the work right at the end, and then they end up not doing well in the course. So the dates here that I announced, if I modify them, I'll announce them to everyone. But if you were signing up for this class and you were just starting and you're on the fence and you think, well, I don't know if I'm going to have enough time to do this, I would encourage you to go ahead and withdraw, send me a note. But withdraw through admissions and records. You have to do that part so that I can give your seat to another student. This is a lot of work in a very short period of time. So I would encourage you, if you're kind of on the fence with this course, I have a massive list of students who are interested in this course. Please do them the favor of giving up your spot. Okay, that much being said, let's get launched into this. I'm Professor Vitt. I'm your instructor. We never meet online in this course, but I'll just give you, we never meet in person for this course, but I'll give you a little summary of me. I went to philosophy graduate school in New York City, and then after that I decided I wanted to do law. So I came back to California after an interim of several years. I went to law school and business school. I took the bar here and I practiced for a long time. But, and this is a long story, I eventually ended up back in a classroom teaching philosophy. I had my own firm, I was doing well, and I decided I wanted to teach a little bit. And within, I'd say 1 or 2 class sessions, I realized I should have never left philosophy. And I was really lucky to go back and now teach full time. So just to give you some perspective as to where I'm coming from with this course, I'm doing exactly what I want to do with my life, right? If I won the lottery, virtually nothing would change about my life. Oops, hold on, there goes my light. If I won the lottery, virtually nothing would change about my life. So if you have a question on something or you're concerned about your grade or how to do something, please, 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 please fire me an email. I am happy to answer it. I have absolutely no problems answering questions or addressing concerns or emails. It is truly what I want to do with my life, so I'm delighted when I hear from students. And if you email me and a day goes by and you haven't heard from me, fire me another email. I don't care. I love it. Okay, so we're going to start critical thinking. This might strike you as a little bit of an odd way to start the course with this image. This is the image of Holmesburg Prison back east. And the reason why we use it is it's a good metaphor for the whole course, which is essentially the biggest obstacle to you learning something is yourself. We have an ingenious way of deceiving ourselves very often. And the goal of this course is to get you aware of those processes that we undergo and that make us so good at imprisoning ourselves in false beliefs. So that's why we have this here. And also, Holmesburg Prison is said to be a hub for ghost hauntings and sort of paranormal activity. And the focus of this course is the paranormal. So this is just like a critical thinking course, but you're going to learn all the stuff that you need to learn, but we're going to do it within a really fun, unique subject matter. We're going to look at ghosts and psychics and astrology and Bigfoot and Roswell and all kinds of fun stuff. and we're gonna learn critical thinking, but we're gonna do so within that context. Okay. Now let's move on to the first part of our syllabus here. The quote for our course is this one here by Aristotle. It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. Essentially what Aristotle is saying here is the educated mind is the one that's able to consider an idea on its merits without being hindered by what we already think is true. You'll learn more about this, but essentially we're very good at refusing to change our minds when we're faced with new evidence. Now this happens in politics, this happens in religious contexts, but it also happens in some of these paranormal contexts, and these are a little more fun and entertaining for us to dive into. But essentially the idea is something like, if I already believe in psychics, I'm going to be less inclined to change my belief if I'm shown evidence that demonstrates that psychics are not likely to exist or something like that. Likewise, if I'm very, very skeptical about the existence of psychics and I'm shown positive evidence that they exist, I'm going to be far less likely to accept that evidence. And so this is a tendency that we all have. Doesn't make you smart or stupid. It's called confirmation bias. And so Aristotle, thousands of years ago, was aware of this problem. That's what this quote is about. And we'll be studying it in a modern context. So let's go ahead and run through the syllabus. You'll learn more about the subject matter of this course as we go on. One thing that I'm going to mention now, just before you probably tune out, I do not grade you on whether you believe in any of this stuff or you don't, you do believe or you don't believe in any of this stuff. I'll ask that you know both sides of the issue, but in no sense do I grade students on what they believe. So I've had students who've believed in ghosts and they've gotten A's, and students who don't believe in ghosts and they've gotten A's, right? And that goes for anything that we study. I don't have a say in what you believe, right? I can't tell you what to believe. That's just dogma. If I tell you what to believe, you would just believe it because I said it, and that's actually an argument fallacy. It's an appeal to authority, and we'll study that later. So the goal of this course is not to change your mind on anything. The goal of this course is to engage your mind on a variety of topics which have a series of interconnected themes. All right, this little picture here is from the Mothman prophecies. If we have time this term, we'll cover the Mothman, or you may want to cover Mothman for your presentation. All right, let me see if I can get zoomed in here. Sorry about that. So let's see if we can't zoom in here a little bit. There we go. Should have done this from the beginning. Okay. Day late, $1 short. It's the story of my life. Okay, Philosophy 11, Critical Thinking, winter of 2016. I'm your instructor, Professor Robert Vitt. This class takes place wholly on the web. This is my email address, rvitt@lbcc.edu. Please, 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 please feel free to email me. I'm always happy to get email and to respond. If you are having difficulty accessing Moodle or something along those lines, Contact Distance Learning, they're fantastic, and they will get back to you and they will help you. All right, course catalog description. So I'm going to just run through the syllabus here. I will highlight certain points and won't read the whole thing verbatim. Course catalog description. This class focuses on the improvement of practical reasoning skills. Students will be required to improve their reasoning skills and will learn to detect and avoid common argument fallacies. Students will develop the knowledge and habits needed to make decisions between conflicting ideas and beliefs. Applications are made to both contemporary and perennial issues such as current political events, news, science versus pseudoscience, and capital punishment. So essentially, this is all correct. We're going to focus here on science versus pseudoscience and do all the rest of it. So upon completion of the course, you're going to be able to analyze the components of arguments and types of arguments. So in other words, we're going to move you from a way of thinking that involves mostly sound bites to understanding the structure of reasoning, how one reason supports another, and then that reason can support a conclusion, and exactly what type of support relationships have to hold between premises and conclusions, or reasons and conclusions, in order for that to be a good piece of reasoning. We'll distinguish between examples of deductive and inductive arguments. So we'll talk about different ways in which these these reasons and these conclusions are related and what degree of strength is provided for each one. And then we'll evaluate inductive arguments for strength, cogency, and presence of fallacies in speech or text. All right. Some of that is Greek, right? Because you're taking the course, so you don't necessarily know what that means. Required texts and material, here it is, by Jonathan C. Smith, Pseudoscience and Extraordinary Claims of the Paranormal, by Wiley Blackwell. I believe you can get a PDF version of this through the publisher, and it's relatively reasonable. They may also have it at the bookstore. Should you be having difficulty in getting this book, I give you this advice. You have to get this book, and you have to get it quickly. We cover 3 weeks worth of material every single week. That is a lot of work. You cannot afford to wait a week or 2 weeks to save the $5 on shipping. You need to get that book. You need to get it the first week. If you can't get it the first week, you're going to have a tough time passing this course because we just cover so much material. It's hard to keep up with the material anyway, let alone play catch up. And if you end up playing catch up, then you're really stuck because you're not going to have time to devote to the new material. You're going to be spending time catching up with the old. So I encourage you, if it's a shipping issue, you need to make sure you get that textbook as soon as possible. Okay, course requirements. Here's how your course is. So 100% will give you an A, right? Here's your grading policy. Now, you're going to have 7 exams based on text and video lectures. That'll be 10% each. So that's 70% of your grade. You're going to get 1 paper that's 4 to 5 pages where you're going to argue and identify fallacies in your own thinking and those of others. Then you are going to have 1 presentation, and this will be a presentation that you compile either by Microsoft PowerPoint or Google Slides. You don't have to go anywhere, but it'll be a paranormal topic of your own choosing. I'll give you a list. If you want something that's not on the list, then you're welcome to email me and ask if it's okay, but this is a presentation on paranormal topics. It's not a presentation on political ones. Hold on. Okay, sorry, I got a long story. Anyway, okay, so and then you will have a discussion board and participation, and that's worth 10% of your grade. So most of your score comes from your exams. Then you have a paper, a presentation, and discussion boards. Okay, grading policy. There are no pluses and minuses. This is just straight Long Beach City College policy. Additional instructor contact. I do have an Instagram account. I use it. So, you're always welcome to try and get me on there. I know it's not really a messaging thing, but shoot, it would be great to have you. I periodically post little paranormal stuff or something like that. I'm also on Facebook, facebook.com/Professor Vitt. That's a page that you like. It's not my personal account. It's an academic page. I'm also on Twitter, and I'm on Twitter. It goes to my phone. I don't always have my phone on me, but I do look at it a couple of times a day. So tweet me, hey, Professor Vitt, do we need to do this and that? And if I'm in Target and I get your tweet, I'll answer it right there. I don't have any reservations about that. So Twitter's a good way to get a hold of me. And then Snapchat. Now, I asked a bunch of students what they used, and they used Snapchat. I'm still learning how to use this, so I don't know how to use it, but I've got it on my phone, and I'm Professor Vitt, and I'm on there. So if you are a Snapchat person and you know how to use it, or you have a question, please feel free to enlighten me, or cut your teeth trying to explain it to me. I'm all for communicating with students, so if you are a Snapchat person and you know how to do it, please let me know. Okay. Note about dropping the course. I don't drop the course for you. You have to do that. So sending me an email saying, hey, I'm not going to do it, that won't be enough. You need to do it through admissions and records. Class participation. Okay, super important. I mentioned this at the onset. In fact, it was the second thing I mentioned. We proceed on a modular basis every single week. So once that first week closes, it's closed and it's gone forever. So I heartily encourage you to do your work as soon as possible, as soon as it comes up in that week. It breaks my heart to have students wait until 11:59 to find out that they can't log into Moodle or something like that. There's really not much I can do. So I encourage you to get your login, get your work done early, and then move forward. And if you don't think you have the time available to complete the course, I would encourage you to go ahead and relinquish your seat for another student. Content disclaimer, extremely important. Your course grade really doesn't depend on what you believe. I don't care what you believe, I care why you believe it, right? I want you to have good reasons for thinking the way that you do. That's the focus of this course. The focus of this course is not to have you accept certain tenets about the metaphysics of the universe. The goal is for you to learn how to argue, reason from evidence, and distinguish between different types of reasoning, those that are good and those that are bad. So it's my obligation and my privilege to teach you how to think rationally, but I don't teach you what to believe. That would just be dogma, right? So if at any point during this course you have any questions or comments or concerns, email me, message me. I'm happy to talk about anything that we're covering. The textbook is good, but he sort of runs roughshod over some of the philosophy of religion stuff, so we're just going to disregard it entirely. If you want to take me for philosophy of religion one day, I'm sure one day I'll teach it. Or if you want to talk to Professor Lawrence or Professor Spector about it, I encourage you to do so, but we're not really focused on religious beliefs. It's not really the subject of this course, and I don't necessarily agree with the writer of our book on everything there, so don't worry about that. Internet access is an absolute must for this class. If you don't have internet access, I don't even know how you'd be watching this video. I am assuming, and for purposes of our class, I have to assume that all students have a current, hold on. Okay, I am assuming and have to assume that you have a current email address, and that's the one that's linked to Moodle. Unfortunately, it's not going to help you if you say, oh gosh, I know you messaged me, Professor Vid, about this late assignment or whatever it is, but this is my friend's account and I don't have an email. And you have to have access to your email in this course. I can't run the course any other way. Academic integrity and plagiarism. So this doesn't come up terribly often in online courses, but it does. I guess I'll just break this down. Number one, you are assuming that you're you. You are representing that you're you in this online course. And if you are not you and you are taking this course for someone else, you're perpetuating a fraud. So I wouldn't encourage that. And I think that's a bad way to go. So you are the person who's taking this course. And by participating in the course, you certify that. Secondly, if you are using someone else's work, their language, their ideas, you need to identify that by putting their language in quotes, then citing it, and then explaining what you just quoted, right? You want to ICE it, I-C-E, identify in quotes, cite what you've identified, and then explain what that quote means. It's simply never worth it to try and pass someone else's idea off as your own. The point of the paper is to foster your own independent thought and reflections, and if you need someone else's idea to do that, that's perfectly fine. Nobody lives in a vacuum, but identify it, then cite it, then explain it. It is fairly obvious with breaks in writing style and so forth when someone is using someone else's work or they're cut and pasting from something on the web. So I encourage you not to do it. If you have any questions about what constitutes plagiarism or cheating, again, never hesitate to contact me. I am there to answer your questions, and I know sometimes instructors get very, very touchy about this kind of thing, and this is a collaborative process, right? We're learning together, and we're doing this all together. I don't want you to feel that I'm not accessible at any point. Student Success Centers, access services, these are important things that are available to you. I will just mention them in passing. Veterans and eligible family members. We do have a Veterans Affairs office at LBCC. If you're a veteran, I want to thank you sincerely for your service to our country. If there's anything I can do to help you, please feel free to fire me an email. That's part of my job. And here's the location of the Veterans Affairs office on... I think it's in I think that is on the LIC campus. But the phone number is here and you can call and confirm that. Okay, Career and Job Services Center. I heartily encourage you to take advantage of that. As an attorney, I'm not active, but and by the way, please don't ask me for legal advice. I can't give any, but I can tell you that I have friends who are attorneys and they spend a lot of money getting people to look at their resumes and bump them up. And I do mean a lot of money. I have friends who've paid in excess of $1,000 to have a resume reviewed. You have to take advantage of services that are offered for free for you. Assignments. The sequence of assignments is tentative, so I always reserve the right to change something around if it's in your best interest and in the course's best interest. Late assignment policies. There are no makeup assignments for this course. You have to do the stuff on time without exception. Discipline policy. I refer you to the schedule of classes, but I do want to stress one thing, which is classroom decorum. Look, you are going to disagree with people in this class about things that we talk about. And that's part of the class. That's part of working through these issues together and developing your own critical thinking skills. But you have to do so in a collegial and non-offensive manner. So So you have to do so in a collegial and non-offensive manner. So no offensive language, no personal attacks, right? Don't call somebody an idiot because they don't believe in ghosts or something like that. It's simply not relevant. It's a personal attack. In fact, it's an argument fallacy. We'll talk about that later. All right, academic freedom. This is similar to the prior point, but it's a little bit different. Look, some of the topics that we're going to discuss here will be adult, right? So whether it's ghosts or psychics or something like that, I mean, something's going to come up that you wouldn't, I have children myself, something's going to come up that you wouldn't necessarily talk about with non-adults, right? And so keep in mind that this is part of the course. I mean, it's not going to be anything highly objectionable in the sense that we're going to be covering something lewd, but you will be exposed to ideas that are in conflict with your own worldview, whatever side of the fence you're on. That's part of the learning process, and I'm not doing my job if I don't try to shake everyone a little bit, and that will help to reinforce your beliefs and make them more justified, right? So if you believe in something, I'm going to try and question it, and if you question something, then I'll try to get you to believe in it. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want you to have a nice, rational foundation for what you believe. I'm not trying to really convince you one way or the other. It's just part of my job, right, is to try to throw a monkey wrench in the works, so to speak. Class attendance, you gotta log on regularly in order to complete your assignments. Super important. Okay, and general guidelines and information. Spelling, grammar, and punctuation always count for or against your grade. It is super important. People judge you on how you write. Rightly or wrongly, they will do so. It's just like how sometimes you're dressed a certain way and people will judge you on that. Now, the judgment may be incorrect, but they're going to make it all the same. And once they make that first estimation, it's incredibly difficult to get past it. So when we're writing and we're reading, we want to do so in a professional manner. And so there's a way that I would send an email to maybe my wife or my friends that's different than how I might send an academic email to a colleague or another professor or something like that. So you should understand that as well. Starting an email, you should have capital letters at the beginning of sentences and periods and so forth. Likewise, when you're on a discussion board, you want to make sure that you're conjugating your verbs and you're doing that. And it's not to say that the other way we have of communicating is any less, right? It's just as valid, but it's different. It's a different context. So it's not a superior way of writing, it's just a different way of writing. And so if you're still learning that way of writing, I'm there with you. I'm learning myself, and so I'll take that into account. But just sort of blatant disregard for grammar and capitalization and conjugation and article agreement and stuff like that is just not going to sit well part of this course is communicating and expressing ideas clearly, and if your grammar and writing prohibits that, then I have to mark you down. Okay, schedule of assignments. This is tentative, but it's pretty close. The only thing I might do is maybe move the paper assignment up here to logic and argumentation, but we'll talk about that. If I do so, it would only be because I would want to move your paper up and then give you more time to turn it in. Okay, so again, you can see we're proceeding here on more or less a weekly basis, the 4th through the 11th through the 18th, the 18th through the 25th, the 25th through the 1st, and then the 1st through the 6th. Your presentation is going to be due on February the 1st. I am going to open up the module for your presentation well before that so that you have time to do it. But remember, you're doing about 3 weeks worth of work every single week, so it's really important that you stay up to date. I understand people are taking trips and so forth around this time, but if you're not going to be available to log in for even a week on this course, it's going to be hard to tell you that that's going to be okay. So if you're not going to be available to work throughout the duration of the term, given the massive workload, please, I would encourage you to drop now before you lose the tuition or get a mark you don't like. Okay, that completes our syllabus. You will keep moving on down the line there. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact me. Here we go. Yeah, so Instagram, Facebook, tweet, or somehow I'll figure out Snapchat. I am really looking forward to this class. I absolutely love doing it, and I will see you guys in there.